This webinar is being recorded, so everybody will be on mute. However, if you have any questions or comments throughout today's seminar, we highly encourage you to type them into the chat function below. The chat function can be found on the bottom of the toolbar of the Zoom call. Also, we have time built in for Q&A, so we will answer those questions. And then if you are interested in re-watching this recording or know somebody wasn't able to attend, you can find it on our home NDFU page or our YouTube channel. With that, I think we can get started. As I said, today's seminar is going to be on conservation planning. We will discuss how you get started and what resources are available. In particular, we will talk about two conservation programs of EQIP and CSP. To help lead that discussion, we have partnered up with the state NRCS office, and we have two guest speakers. Our first guest speaker is Draper Lundquist, who is a program liaison of EQIP and CSP. He covers the northeast portion of North Dakota, covering 12 counties. Draper has worked for the NRCS office for about 20 years, and he has held several positions and been at different offices and locations throughout North Dakota. For the last 15 years, he has been stationed at the Devil's Lake office. Our second guest speaker is Cody Larson, who is also a program liaison of CSP and EQIP. She covers the southeast portion of the state, covering 16 counties. She also has 20 years of experience working with several positions and locations across North Dakota. She currently is in the Carrington office and also farms and ranches with her husband, Larry, southwest of Carrington. With that, I will turn it over to you, Draper and Cody, to lead our conversation today. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the introduction and welcome. Like Amanda said, my name is Draper Lundquist, and this is my co-part. And so what we're here to talk a little bit about today is what NRCS has to offer, the Natural Resource Conservation Service. We just want to, again, thank Farmers Union for inviting us to speak on some of the financial programs that we have to offer, and then also on one of the programs of Conservation Technical Assistance, CTA. So hopefully, after today, we hope to, have some of your questions answered and, just get a little bit of interest into having those folks stop into the office and have a conversation with our local USDA NRCS office.
All right. For those who may be unfamiliar with NRCS, I'll start with just a brief overview of our history. NRCS was formerly the Soil Conservation Service. The agency was formed in response to the Dust Bowl of the 1930s and became a permanent agency in 1935. Back in 1994, the name was changed to the Natural Resources Conservation Service to better reflect the broad scope of concerns that we address.
Cody?
Yes,
sorry to interrupt you. I can't see your slides. Just seeing you guys.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Technical issues.
Yep.
Carry on.
Okay, we're having some on our end here. Can't see all of our notes here. There we go. Okay. All right. As far as the mission of NRCS, our mission is that we deliver conservation solutions so agriculture producers can protect natural resources and feed a growing world. 7 out of every 10 acres of our nation's land is privately owned. Helping farmers and ranchers and forest landowners improve the health of their working lands helps protect our natural resources while helping to ensure the longevity of American agriculture. NRCS is a technical agency that uses science and research to recommend viable conservation solutions. Our programs are voluntary and they work.
So you may ask, who is and, what is NRCS? We provide, we strive and we, our main thing that we focus on and pride ourselves on is providing conservation technical assistance, CTA. What that is it's a plan with you, the producer, farmer, rancher, landowner, whatever it may be, that works, for you on your land in operation. What we, strive to help do is helping address resource concerns on your operation for cleaner water, cleaner air, quality in soils, abundance in wildlife, energy conservation, and a healthy environment. The primary purpose of CTA is to, reduce soil loss from erosion, solve some of the soil health, water quality, water conservation, and air quality concerns that people have. What we strive to do is, reduce that potential damage caused by excessive water and sediment, or even drought. Everybody remembers last year how dry it was. Trying to help people through those situations and address those concerns that they might have on their operation. Also, we, enhance the quality of fish and wildlife habitat. Maybe there's an interest out there for, improving wildlife habitat on folks' operation, and we can strive to, help and assist in anything with that. So how do you get started with NRCS? Well, this is kind of a roadmap that we like to use in the steps of planning with the producer and everything. We call it a 9 steps planning process, and we try to hit each one of these categories along the line to help better identify some of the problems and issues of the resource concerns that you may have on your operation. So one of the first things that we do out there is, you may come in and identify some of those problems with the producer, whether it's, erosion, some soil health issues, productivity on your operation, anything like that. We can help identify and work through a process to help, maybe improve those situations on your farm. So the second process would be to determine the producer's objective. What are you looking at on your operation? What are the issues and concerns today that brought you into the office? And what can we do to help treat that? What we like to do then is go on to our third step of doing an inventory of the resources, taking a look out there as far as what are the issues out there on the landscape, on the ground. We don't need to sit in the office and go through any of the issues. We like to get our boots on the ground right there with you in the field and seeing some of those concerns that you may have out there. Maybe it's some salinity issues, some compaction issues. We want to try and help address that and bring those concerns to a resolution that fit your operation. From there, we take a look and we analyze the data in our fourth step and take a look at what we find out there when we were with you on your operation. We then formulate some alternatives. We look at and give you, the producer, a few ideas on how you can address and treat any resource concerns you have out there. After that, step 6, we evaluate some of the alternatives with you, making sure that the ideas that we come up with are going to work on your operation. One thing may not work for everybody. It may not work on your neighbor's operation, but it's something that maybe will address some of the concerns that you have on your operation. And then step 7, making some of those decisions, putting it, onto you and seeing, what are some of the things that we can achieve and we want to do to, see if we can address some of those concerns that you might have on your operation. And we'll give you a few ideas and pointers on how you can improve maybe some of your grazing, some of those compaction issues out there on what you can do to improve that. And then we're going to, help you along the way in implementing that plan, having the, the producer, take and implement whatever we discuss, and, walking through and making sure all those processes work along the way, and, making any adjustments as needed. And then, you know, the last step isn't necessarily a last step in the process. It's ever changing and everything, but we like to evaluate that plan, taking a look to see, you know, are things working out there for you? Do we need to make those adjustments out there, and what can we do to make those adjustments? And then we can go back to any one of the steps in that process to help better work through any of those issues on your operation. So what is in your plan? A conservation plan includes, you know, landowner determined goals, aerial photography of the area that you may have a concern of, some soils maps and soils descriptions that may, you know, you feel it's a good indicator of, you know, helping determine, you know, what is some of the productivity out there maybe. Maybe there are some of those saline spots, and how can we address and treat those areas? You'll get a good understanding with that soils map and soils descriptions across the landscape of your whole operation. Also includes some resource inventory data, such as, you know, forage and crop production potentials on what we feel could, you know, help and benefit your operation, maybe, you know, increasing some of that productivity out there by introducing maybe an additional crop type in your rotation and everything, and helping to address any of those concerns that you might have out there. We also, you know, list out some of the landowner conservation decisions, you know, again, helping you make sure that you know and understand what can you do to, you know, achieve that, what you want on that operation and everything. We also include, you know, location and schedules for applying conservation practices and systems. You know, when should I be looking at doing some of these activities? We're not going to just send you out flying blind. We're going to give you a little bit of a schedule and say, you know, here's what would work maybe on a rotational grazing system for a producer in a ranch situation. You know, here's, you know, when we suggest you plant a cover crop out there. And here's maybe the mix and everything. So you'll get all that information and data, you know, in your conservation plan. We also include some maintenance information for those installed practices. You know, again, saying, you know, what's the seeding rate that we can seed that cover crop, or maybe you have a grass seeding that you want to do. It will help you through that process, so you can take that information and put it in on the landscape and make it work for your operation. So conservation technical assistance still, you know, all landowners, managers, and those others who have a stake in interest in natural resource management are eligible to receive this technical assistance from NRCS. To receive technical assistance, the individual just has to contact the local NRCS office or the local conservation district. We work a lot with our local conservation districts and partner up with them in helping producers achieve a lot of this, you know, resource concerns that you may have on your operation. Most of the technical assistance provided by NRCS leads to additional volunteer programs that we have to offer. You know, and what we do is we develop a conservation plan and do a resource assessment on the land, and that allows you, the client, to determine if you know, you want to move on and move up to additional assistance. Through the CTA program, you know, like I mentioned, with financial assistance, you can determine, you know, what is going to benefit your operation the best by looking at some of those programs that Cody and I will visit with with the EQIP and CSP program a little bit later. And one of the big questions that we also get is, you know, when should I stop in and talk to NRCS about planning and doing a conservation plan or the CTA plan that you talk about? Now is the best time. Stop in and take a look. You know, everything takes a little bit of time to work through the process and everything. But you know, now I can't stress, now is the perfect time to come in. You know, the stopping in the winter, it's hard to get a good grasp on some of those resource concerns that you may have out there and want to show us when we have abundance of snow on the landscape and everything, to get a good feel for that. So stop in the office now, you know, give a talk, you know, tell them you're interested in setting up a CTA plan for your operation and any program assistance. We have a continuous sign up for all of our programs with batching periods specific for each program throughout the year. But summer is a great time to get out on the ground, like I said, and take a look at that operation while the grasses are growing. We can come out and do a clipping field inventory of your grasses. We can go out and do a soil health assessment on your cropland fields in the summer while it's not froze up and covered in snow again. So now is a good time to stop in your office and just visit with us and see what best works for you. It can take some time to get through the whole planning process, so that's why we encourage signing up or coming and stopping in and visiting with us now to address any of those concerns on your operation. And we get a lot of questions. Well, don't you just work with soils and planting trees? Well, no, we do a lot more than that. Like I said, we work a lot with creating these conservation plans and everything for operators, providing financial assistance through some of the programs that we'll talk about today, and then working with our partners in helping plant those trees. We work a lot with the local soil conservation districts, so that's a lot of where our offices are located. If you're familiar with that, located in the same offices as the Farm Services FSA offices as well.
Excuse me. While NRCS has many programs and initiatives available to assist producers, we are going to focus on just a couple of those today, those being EQIP and CSP. The Environmental Quality Incentives Program is a voluntary program that provides technical assistance for planning and financial assistance for the installation of conservation practices. Rather than take land out of production, EQIP helps producers maintain or improve production while conserving natural resources on working landscapes. Once a producer has a conservation plan identifying the activities that they are interested in, they can choose specific practices to apply for. EQIP contracts are practice specific, meaning the producer only applies for the items they are willing to address at that time. Since the producer can tailor EQIP to a specific practice or suite of practices, the program is a great introduction to working with NRCS and can provide a springboard to more broad conservation programs like CSP. Payments are made after a practice is certified and installed. For example, the producer plants trees, they get checked out by the office, meaning that the spacing is checked, that they planted the correct species, those types of things, and then the producer is paid a set amount per foot that is in the contract. So who is eligible for EQIP? It's very broad: a person or a legal entity or a tribe engaged in egg production. They need to be tied to the land in some way, whether that be the owner or the renter of the land. They need to have control of the land, and they need to be in compliance. They also need to establish or update farm records with FSA. So how does EQIP work? Applications are taken year-round, just as Draper mentioned. We have cutoff dates to evaluate applications. Recently, it's been in October, usually in the fall. Once NRCS completes an assessment of your operation and you choose the practices or activities that you want to move forward with, your application gets ranked. And we rank your application against others with similar applications in the same ranking pools. Producers need not worry about which pools to apply in necessarily. Anything that you are eligible for within EQIP, we will put your application in and give you the best chance of funding. Contracts are typically 1 to a maximum of 10 years in length. So what can you do with EQIP? Well, EQIP provides financial incentives to try new conservation practices. For example, in a cropland scenario, a producer might want to try reduced tillage on a small scale before implementing it across the whole operation. Or perhaps they want to install cover crops to address issues like compaction or increasing organic matter. A producer also might choose nutrient management to do grid soil sampling for the purpose of moving to a variable rate fertilizer application system. In rangelands or grassland situations, we also work with ranchers to implement prescribed grazing systems. NRCS provides the financial assistance to install the infrastructure necessary to make these systems function. Examples include cross fences, wells, pipelines, and tanks. Grass seeding could also be an option. NRCS also has many different initiatives this past year. We had initiatives with high tunnels to extend the growing season, wetland wildlife habitat management, and also irrigation for the purpose of water conservation on existing systems. All right, we can pause here for a moment if you like for some Q&As.
Yeah, so I guess I have one question that came in. Is there a difference for a producer when it comes to qualifying for programs based on the rankings, if they are strictly a livestock producer or just crop producer?
Yeah, so what we have set up, like Cody mentioned, we'll take those applications, rank them, run them through an assessment, and then determine what funding pools they fall into. So for instance, if it's a lot of cropland-based activities, doing that nutrient management or the no-till, mulch-till like Cody was talking about, that would go into one of our funding pools of a cropland application. Now, if there's some grazing activities that folks are looking at doing for pasture or range activities, we have a grassland funding pool set up where we specify specific applications that are going to treat those types of resource concerns out there on those landscape settings, and they would apply through the grassland funding pool.
Perfect. One other question. So you mentioned that now during the summer is the best time to, if you're interested in doing a conservation program, just because you guys can get out there and physically look at the landscape and collect samples. But if, let's say, a producer gains some land in the fall, or they decide like in the middle of the winter that they want to start a conservation program, can they come in at any time, even if, during the summer's usually the ideal time?
Right. Yep.
Yes, that does happen actually very frequently, and that is why we have continuous signups with our programs. Yeah, come in as soon as you're able to, and we'll work with you. We just might not be able to do all of the assessments or things like that we would like, but we will do our very best and move forward with you, and it will be an ongoing process.
Perfect. Well, I don't see any other questions, so I think we can continue on.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'll talk a little bit about CSP. That's the Conservation Stewardship Program that folks may have heard about. This is a 5-year contract with NRCS. And again, this is a financial-based program, financial assistance provided to the producer, rancher, operators. The program is designed to compensate producers who agree to increase their level of conservation by adopting additional conservation activities or practices or enhancements, and then maintaining that baseline level that they're currently at. There's a number of different enhancements and activities to pick from, well over a list of 100 different things. So there is usually something that can interest in treating something on your operation to enhance that on, or diving in and taking on something new and innovative on your operation that you may have looked at in the past or read up about. The possibilities are endless on what you can do through the CSP program. So, is CSP right for you? A lot of things that, if you can answer yes to, a few of these things, the CSP program is going to be right for you. So, do you own or rent and manage that land for egg production. Have you already been doing some of the conservation work out there on your operation? So, a lot of times we talk about springboarding, starting with that CTA plan that we talked about earlier, doing an EQIP plan, like Cody had mentioned a little bit ago, maybe trying out that mulch-till on your operation. You come to find out, that mulch-till worked on your operation, and now you want to look at, maybe going to a higher level of no-till and applying that to your whole operation. CSP could enhance that, and you could adopt, something like that on your operation to move forward and propel your whole operation into a situation like that. You want to expand existing conservation efforts, to a higher level. Again, taking that next step in your operation, and then making sure that you have control of the operation for the next 5 years. Being that this is a 5-year contract, are you gonna, maintain and have control of that? Maybe you have some rented ground and everything. Making sure that we have control of that through the process. And making sure that you're signed up as an egg producer at the local USDA service center. Like Cody had mentioned, being eligible for EQIP and everything is the same for CSP, making sure that you have, everything filled out at the FSA office to be an egg producer. So, what are the benefits? CSP provides many benefits, including, increased crop productivity, decreased inputs, and everybody is striving to get those decreased inputs, cost of fuel and fertilizers now. So that's what the the CSP program is helping, trying to get the benefits of. Maybe there's some wildlife habitat improvements that you want to see. Some increased resilience to some of the weather extremes like we've been having, dry conditions to wet conditions. How can you treat and address that on your whole operation? CSP also encourages, the adoption of new technologies and management techniques on your operation. That maybe you've been, reading up on in some of the magazines and everything, and you want to, look at adopting that onto your operation. For example, CSP can help you, schedule timely plantings, management of cover crops, on your whole operation. You have certain fields that you want to address that on. The CSP program can help you with that. Maybe it's developing a grazing plan that will improve, your forage base out there for you. Maybe it's implementing no-till to reduce erosion or manage, forested areas in a way that benefits wildlife habitat. If you're already taking the steps to improve the conditions on the land, chances are that CSP can help you find new ways to meet those additional goals. So, how does CSP work? CSP offers opportunities for producers to expand on existing conservation efforts by applying new conservation practices and enhancements. These new activities will help enhance natural resources and make improvements on your operations. Again, provide an example. If you've been planting a cover crop, you may decide that you want to try, something more than just doing a single species cover crop. I want to do a multi-species cover crop and enhance, what we've been doing on our operation. And, that's something that you could do with CSP. Maybe you want to implement it to help break up some of that deep-rooted, using deep-rooted cover crops to break up compaction that you may have on your operation. If you decide to apply for CSP, the local NRCS planner will come out and they'll have a one-on-one conversation with you, to evaluate your current management system and the natural resource concerns that you have on your land. Then you'll work with the NRCS planner to select some of those CSP activities based on what your management objective is, for your operation. What works for you is going to be a little bit different than maybe, the person that, works down the, has a farm or ranch down the road from you. It's not a cookie cutter type situation that we can apply to everybody's operation. So that's why we like to tailor it and make sure it's going to fit how you want to, move forward on your operation. Once you choose those practices and activities that best fit, your application is selected for funding, and CSP offers annual payments for implementing those practices and enhancements on your land, and then also, maintaining that existing conservation efforts. So CSP eligibility, what land is eligible for CSP? Any of the private ag lands for crop, grassland, haylands, pasture land, rangeland, any of the tribal lands out there, public lands, state public lands, your farmstead even. Maybe you have some issues, concerns that you want to address through CSP through the farmstead. You can also do that through the CSP. CSP is taking a look at your whole farm operation again, enrolling all that land that you operate. Again, going a little bit higher from that, maybe that EQIP application that you just, wanted to test the waters on the operation. Now CSP takes it to that higher level and including all that land on your operation, enrolling that. And then we also have some of the associated ag lands. What that is those are lands that are maybe, wet areas that you maybe don't crop or anything. So, those are lands that we can help address, maybe some wildlife concerns out there with you and address some of those. They have, these are 5 years with the potential to also renew and everything. So you could end up after 5 years getting an additional 5-year contract and look at additional resource concerns to address through CSP in your renewal application. There's no minimum acreage requirement for CSP to enroll land in. It's just making sure that it's under the control of the applicant and it's part of your operation. Your entire operation again goes in to the CSP program and we move on from there. So who is eligible to apply for CSP? Well, basically applicants may include individuals, legal entities, joint operations, or even Indian tribes and everything. The big thing is you either are going to own the land or rent it and currently manage that land for some egg production or even forest production. That's the big thing is just, we want to work with that person doing the day-to-day activities on the operation, performing that management and everything. So it may not necessarily work out for just that landowner, that absentee landowner, but it is maybe something that you can talk to for, if you are an absentee landowner, having that conversation with, the operator of the land out there and letting them know that there is these opportunities out there for folks to apply to treat some of the resource concerns on an operation. So what is a conservation practice and enhancement? Conservation practices can, improve soil, water, plant, air, wildlife habitat related to natural resources. Each conservation practice must be performed using NRCS standards and everything developed by each state. We're going to focus in on, treating the soil, the water, the plants, the air, and any other related natural resource concern that you have out there. Enhancements are, conservation activities used to treat resource concerns and improve conservation performance, taking it to, an additional level or a higher level. We use these enhancements to build off of key practices that we have and we'll install to, take it to that next level. That I can't stress that enough with the CSP program, taking it to a higher level of where you want to achieve on your operation. And the big thing, CSP payments. Everybody wants to know, what's the payment in this, and what can I get to help, offset some of those costs on your day-to-day operation. Annual contract payments are based on 2 components. We're going to give a payment to maintain that existing level of conservation based on the land uses that you have in your contract. And then you're going to get a payment for the implementation of those conservation practices or enhancements that we just kind of talked about and everything. And then, one of the other things that's a little bit different with CSP and EQIP is when do I get those payments? Like Cody had mentioned earlier, with EQIP, as soon as you finish that practice, you turn around and you get that payment. With CSP, we make all of our payments around the 1st of October, or shortly thereafter, each year. Basically, we then take the time to go through and take a look at and make sure that all those enhancements and our practices completed, that you're maintaining that base level on your operation, and then after that, that's when you will receive your payment sometime after October. How do you apply for CSP? Well, the big thing is, and I hope everybody takes home from this is, stopping into your local NRCS field office and let them know that you're interested in CSP, or maybe it's EQIP, or stopping in and just visiting about the CTA program that we talked about at the top of the presentation. The big thing is stop into your local NRCS office and have that conversation with them. Get to know them. Get comfortable with visiting with them. That we have a lot of great employees scattered throughout the state that have a lot of local knowledge of what works in and around your community. So again, stopping in and having that conversation with them. Give a phone call. Maybe you just would prefer to meet out at your farmstead, or maybe it's in the field where you have some of those issues or concerns. Set up a time to meet with a few of our individuals. Maybe it's some engineers to take a look at some of the irrigation stuff that you have on your operation. Just see what is all available. You can also log on to farmers.gov and get some information there as far as contacting the local field office, setting up an appointment, submitting any applications for any of our programs. You can do that all through farmers.gov as well. So just kind of to recap, on how to get started with NRCS and what are the the steps that kind of take through the process. So again, having that sit down conversation and going out on the landscape and doing some planning. It's always best, like we said at the top, if we can get out there and do some planning with individuals and folks to see their operation, how each one is working, and what some of the concerns you have out there. Stop in and do some planning and taking a look and determine some goals that might work for your operation. Next thing would be is looking at selecting an application. Maybe it's for the EQIP program, or maybe the CSP program. And submit that application in for any of our financial assistance programs. Third step, eligibility, making sure that you have your eligibility taken care of, and we'll definitely help you along the way with that process. A lot of what we do with eligibility is working with our local FSA partners, making sure that everything gets entered into the system, and we get you up and running. That way we can help process that application. After we determine that the eligibility has been met, we're going to go ahead and then do some ranking of those applications, similar to what we talked about with the EQIP process and everything, ranking those applications according to some of the local resource concerns that each location has. And then big number 5 is implementing, putting that conservation work on the ground, getting those practices, enhancements, or whatever it might be to work, and making sure that they are working for your operation. And maybe taking a look at how can we adjust or make some of the changes on your operation. Maybe what you picked or selected isn't going to work. After taking some more look at it, we can look at adjusting that and helping you through that process and everything.
All right, so where can you go to get assistance with NRCS? We have offices located in nearly every county in the state. So Don't get too hung up on the color of dot there on the map, but they all represent a field office, and we would certainly invite you to stop in and visit with your local folks. Most of the offices are shared with FSA and the local soil conservation district. And just stop in and ask about possible opportunities. You know, EQIP, CSP, we also have easement programs. So see what's right for you. And while many producers do seek financial assistance from NRCS, I just do want to emphasize that the technical assistance is always free and it does not need to be tied to a program. So if you as a landowner might be interested in determining what trees are suited for your soils, for instance, that landowner doesn't need to participate in a program to receive our recommendations. All right, with that, we would entertain any questions.
All right. Well, again, everybody, we do have everybody on mute for the purpose of this being recorded. So if you do have a question, please type it into the chat function below. At the bottom of the Zoom call, there is an icon that says chat, and it will come over to me and we will read those questions out loud and have Draper and Cody answer them. So first question is actually kind of a two-part question, Cody and Draper. So the question is, if my land is rented, can I still qualify for CSP? And how do I have that conversation between a tenant and a landlord on CSP? And in the end, who gets that payment for CSP?
Yeah, so you know, if you rent land and everything, that's definitely eligible for CSP. You can definitely enroll that. The big thing with CSP is, like we kind of said, is making sure that we have control of that for the next 5 years. So if we're going to go out and install any of the practices that are, you know, maybe vegetative or structural in aspect, you're going to have to, you know, get a, you know, maybe a lease from that landowner that owns the land. If you're just operating it, and you're going to have to, you know, have that discussion with them and say, you know, we're going to enroll this into, you know, the CSP program. It's to better benefit the, you know, the landscape out there. And this is how it could, you know, benefit and everything, providing that conversation with that landowner. You know, and then going on to, you know, who's going to get that payment is, you know, through CSP, it's the person that's out there doing that day-to-day activity, the person that's out there doing the management and everything, making those calls on a day-to-day basis and everything. So if, you know, there are landowners interested in having their operators apply, they should have that conversation with them as well, and, you know, have, you know, just letting them know that these programs are available for their landowner operators right now.
Perfect. Another question that came in, what are some of the most common funds used for CSP and EQIP in North Dakota?
I think a lot of the stuff that we see, you know, for both EQIP and CSP, there's been a big push on cover crops. So I think, you know, we see a lot of interest in the cover crop aspect for both the EQIP and the CSP program. You know, again, you know, kind of we mentioned a little bit of, you know, seeding those cover crops, you know, doing maybe a single species cover crop to see, you know, is this something that I want to try on my operation, and is it going to really work, and are you going to see the benefits? After, you know, you see that, you know, potential benefits on that one field, maybe you want to take it to that next step and go into CSP and do a multi-species cover crop mix or enhance it that way. And, you know, and doing it on more fields across your operation and enrolling, you know, additional acres to treat that. So I think cover crops has been the biggest interest lately. We see a lot of no-till and multi-till out there.
I would say also, you know, the nutrient management aspect, as Draper mentioned, with the cost of inputs these days, you know, going to like a variable rate application, something like that will, you know, improve water quality, etc. While decreasing producer cost has been a positive as well.
Cody, would you mind speaking a little bit louder? That kind of cut out a little bit on your part, what you just said, if you wanted to repeat that.
Sure. I was just saying with the nutrient management, that's also been, interest in that as well, due to the fact of the increased inputs, the cost of them. So doing something like that where you're moving to a variable rate application, that decreases your cost and improves water quality at the same time. So that's been something that we've been seeing more of as well lately.
Okay. Again, if anybody has any general questions about CSP, conservation planning, or EQIP, please feel to type them in. If not, I will let you guys tell us where we can find some additional resources if they think of something a little bit later besides right now.
Yeah, you bet. So what we have up on the screen here now is our web link address. It takes you right to the North Dakota NRCS homepage. A lot of the information that we talked about today on the EQIP program, the CSP program, is all listed right there on our homepage. You can take a look at that and click around. You can go. You can also find, where some of where the local offices are located and who that contact person may be. We have a directory listing out there where you can contact that local office and talk to them about providing assistance. You can also go to farmers.gov. We kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, and you can access that off of the website there link, and that will take you and you can do a whole number of different things on farmers.gov, maybe interested in signing an application or just getting additional resources on what USDA has to offer to you.
And again, your local office, stop in, we'd love to visit with you.
Well, perfect. I don't see any more questions coming in, so I think we will call that an end to today's session. Again, remember, if you guys come up with any particular questions later on, we highly encourage you to reach out to your local NRCS office, or again, use the website there and look for your local contacts. Also, again, thank you to the state NRCS office, and particular Draper and Cody. You guys did an awesome job explaining conservation programs and what it takes to get qualified in programs, and just a little bit of more detail about EQIP and CSP. So thank you again for your time. Also, thank you for everybody who joined today. We hope that you found this webinar very educational. Be on the lookout, because the plan is to have more webinars like this in the future on different ag topics. So again, if you are interested in rewatching this recording, it will be available on our YouTube channel, our home NDFU page. And with that, we will call it a wrap. And again, thank you everybody for attending, and I hope everybody has a good day. Bye.
Bye.